Bring me you're tired, you're stressed, you're overwhelmed and anxious, yearning for some joy in life. It's time to go out and play. Hello, welcome back to Playgrounding. This is Kara Stewart-Fortier. This is the last episode of 2020 for Playgrounding this year. I'm going to be taking a little break for the holidays, doing some reading, planning, dreaming for what's going to come in the new year. I've got a lot of ideas for where Playgrounding can go this year. Very different, not just a podcast, but of course, there will still be a podcast. Here are a few things actually that I'm doing over this little break that you can join in on. I'll still be doing the Facebook group, something to look forward to, and you can find a direct link to that on the Playgrounding homepage. Also, I'll be co-facilitating a workshop for the Global Play Brigade this Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 a.m. Eastern, this Sunday, the 20th of December, 2020, called Celebrating Spirituality, How Our Beliefs Affect Our Reality. It's a workshop where we'll be using our imaginations to play with what it means to believe and how that affects how we see the world, how we treat ourselves and others differently depending on what belief system we're a part of. And don't worry, the belief systems are kind of fun. Anyway, you can register for free on the Global Play Brigade's website under free offerings. And I'll also make sure to include a link to it in today's show notes at playgrounding.com/63. Okay, now let's get down to business, which is exactly what today's guest is all about. Today, you're going to have a chance to hear from Rona Lewis again. You met her a few weeks ago when we introduced the Playful Mind Project with her and her business partner, Jessica Brustad, who talked last week about mental health. The Playful Mind Project is a new approach to self-care and corporate well-being. So in Jessica's episode, you heard more about the self-care aspect, and this time you're going to be hearing more from Rona about corporate well-being. She's here to talk about what businesses can do to improve mental health in the workplace. So I'm going to read you a little snippet from their website, from the Playful Mind Project. It says, according to Forbes magazine, research indicates that 75% of U.S. workers have struggled at work due to anxiety caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and other recent world events. Plus, nearly half of the respondents of the survey said that it was important that companies prioritize workers' mental health. So that's what Rona helps businesses do as the co-founder and CEO of Playful Mind Project. So let me tell you a little bit about who she is and what her qualifications are to have this kind of an amazing job. As a former C-level advertising sales executive, Rona is a champion of the inner child. She's a play instigator and creativity coach, and she loves to help change individuals as well as corporations to ignite ideas and explode productivity. And she's also a leading expert in play for companies and employees. Rona doesn't believe in work-life balance. Work is part of life. So how do you balance it all? It's about taking time to make time work for you. I love that. And above all, having an attitude of play that makes life an adventure, not a responsibility. Ooh, yeah. Rona's first career was in advertising sales, where her last position was as VP of sales for a national media rep firm. She then changed careers and became a fitness and lifestyle coach for corporations, professional women, and businessmen, and add to that her certifications as a creativity coach, and her business built itself. Her background includes a degree in advertising with a minor in physical education from Penn State University, along with certifications from various fitness organizations and cooking schools. Her play and creativity prowess was helped along by schools such as the University of Minnesota, the State University of New York, and trust me, she knows her stuff. As an expert, she's been a guest on TV and radio shows from San Francisco to New York. Her articles have been featured in Corporate Wellness Magazine, Town and Country Magazine, New York's Peerless Magazine, and more. So now, you get to meet Rona. So nice to see you, Rona.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
It was so neat getting to meet you. We were both in a play session online, and you were the only other person there from LA. And I was just really, really wanting to see a person face to face. So our coffee date meant the world to me.
Well, I was happy to do it. It's interesting because I was just talking about this with Jessica, my partner, that because play is in its infancy and it's not an industry yet, which is one of my big, hairy, audacious goals for the Playful Mind Project. People either know of each other or they actually know each other. So it's always good to meet each other face to face, and because it is it's a hard time now, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we were social distance.
Yes, we were.
And it does make a difference in how we relate to each other because we're all on the same page and know how necessary play is.
Oh my goodness. Yes. This has been an amazing summer for me, meeting so many people so passionate about this. And you were the first one who said, I think play should be an industry. And you have your business background. That's actually what we're going to talk about today. We're also going to be talking with you and your business partner about Playful Mind Project together, but I want to hear about it from your perspective. You guys both cover different sort of aspects.
Right.
So first of all, tell me about your business acumen. Like what is your background? What do you bring to the table that makes you an expert in play in the workplace?
Well, I was in business for a very long time. I used to be in media. I was a media rep. And if you don't know what a media rep is, we for traditional media way back when in the olden days, I sold advertising for radio and television and cable and broadcast TV. Back when digital was pretty new and we were kind of like packaging it because nobody knew what the heck it was, and it was really stressful. I was one of the youngest, if not the youngest media rep in the country.
Wow.
So there was actually a lot of pressure on me. I was like 23, 24, and most of my the clients at the ad agencies, the buyers were women, much older. So, here was this young whippersnapper making just as much money, if not more than they were, so they weren't always that nice to me. And I had to really, downplay my looks and ask them questions and all this kind of stuff. And when you're new at something, you have to, get all your contacts and know your numbers and make your numbers. So that's stressful as in the first place. I was selling time. Time is, it's not a thing. And if that time goes by, you can never get it back again. So that was added onto it. And I was not having fun, and I didn't realize the importance of changing my attitude until one of my best friends, who is still one of the best salespeople I've ever met. Her name's Gail Rothfuss. And one day I started to get like a panic attack, and I'm kind of like leaning over. I'm like, oh my God.
Yep.
So she comes running over, grabs me by the shoulders, puts her nose this close to mine, and she's like, Rona, you have got to breathe. This is not brain surgery. No one ever died from advertising. Yep. There's no blood.
Yep.
And it kind of stopped me dead in my tracks. And I had to take a step back, and I'm like, oh my God, she's absolutely right.
Yep.
This is one of the reasons that I went into this business, was because it was fun. And so I just kind of had to rethink everything, and I lightened up, and I gave myself some me time to play. I didn't take myself so seriously, and my buyers noticed it. And I realized that I can't help the way they think. It's important what I thought of myself.
Yes.
So that was a total change, and I started to have more fun on the job. The buyers were better to me. I started making more money, and So from there, I really just started to research about play and being creative and life balance and the importance of play. And it was even less known than it is now.
Yeah.
Dr. Stuart Brown was around. So, it's little things like that. And that's how I kind of got started even researching it before I went into it full time.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Stuart Brown seems to be the main, like, the canon, but then now there's so much more out there now that I'm only just discovering. This is great. But the word play kind of has its own, I feel like when I started playgrounding, a lot of people just look at me funny about it. And even some told me, I have a job, I have a life, I have to raise a family. Why would I listen to a podcast telling me I need to play more?
Right.
And I was like, I can't argue with you.
Yeah.
At least not at that point.
I mean, people have to be ready to hear it. If you stop to think about it, this country was started by Puritans. And it was the Puritan ethic till, not that long ago. Baby boomers still have it. And work has changed. There is no work-life balance. I never use that term because work is a part of life. So you have to have life balance. And too many people think play is a childish waste of time when this is the secret sauce to being happier and more joyful. And, they think that if you're not exhausted and work buckets of hours, then you're not trying hard enough.
Ugh.
Even Malcolm Gladwell talks about this, the importance of life balance and changing how you look at things. So we need to allow ourselves self-care, and self-care as play care is more important than ever, in this time period. And play is not a thing. It's an attitude.
Yes.
And that's where people have to understand and give themselves permission to lighten up. Kids laugh like over 300 times a day. And as adults, we laugh like 7, and it's such a shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially if you're selling advertising and are leaning over having a panic attack, it's not even that much, So yeah. And society has to change.
It really does. And it's the thing is that it was kind of ushered in this whole puritanical culture, which is kind of what America, that's where we came from. The Puritan work ethic became the Protestant work ethic, became just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, America. And now the corporate world is its own culture of basically torturing people. Sorry to put it.
Right. And, and there are, and to that point, there are a lot of companies who have, up until recently, the very open floor plan, and they had, even at the WeWorks, they had beer all day and ping pong tables and, things like that, which just because you have them doesn't mean that you necessarily know how to use them correctly, which is why part of what we do at the Playful Mind Project is teach purposeful play. Granted, play is in and of itself necessary, but it's knowing how and why and infusing the culture to understand how and why to implement it to get the most productivity from their people.
Yeah. I mean, and giving us, because our company did the ping pong table thing. And I kind of laughed. Just because they give us a ping pong table doesn't mean that the pressure is alleviated in any way. It doesn't mean that when somebody gets laid off that their duties get handed off to, 2 other people, I should say. So yeah, it is a very difficult nut to crack to try to get into that culture.
And people have to understand that when you have a mindset and an attitude of play, it doesn't mean that you're not feeling all the feels. Oh, trust me. I get pissed off. I get angry.
Yes.
I get hurt. I get all those things, but because of my mindset, I'm much more resilient, and I can flip the situation to possibilities.
Yeah.
And I've gotten fired. because they were dopes. No, but you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened to me, because that's how I started on my entrepreneurial adventure. That led me to here. But when that happens, yeah, take a day to feel sorry for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can feel it. And then it's like, okay, now what? Look at all the things, look at all the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on unemployment for a little while. What makes me happy? You know, things like that. So, you know, it's when you bring that kind of attitude to a business, clients are still going to be pissy. They're still going to want something, you know, we want this entire advertising concept in 48 hours. Crap, you know. So you just have to start looking at things with a sense of newness and that childlike quality of, okay, we have a goal, and even though we have constraints, let's play with this. What, you know, let's test ourselves. Let's gamify it. Whatever it is, there is a way to do it to keep people, you know, happy. And it play sparks your curiosity, and curiosity sparks creativity, and creativity is what bonds work and play.
Absolutely. We had Gary Ware on here a few weeks or
I love Gary.
Yeah, and he told the story of the woman who was, and I know I love to tell these stories over and over. I can't help it, but this is so relevant, that she was so stressed out and she was going to do an all-nighter. And he said, please go ahead and come to this play thing. She's trying to cancel on him. And he's like, no, just come for a few minutes. She went to the play thing, went home to sleep, got in early and finished it in like a couple of hours when she could have spent all night. And like, play really does help you hit the reset button. So to actually incorporate that into your work life, and if a company can do that, that would be so powerful. And I wish there was a way to communicate that to these people.
Well, and that's what I'm obviously, you know, working on. And, you know, the big thing that people need to realize about play is that you have to be in the present moment in order to play. You know that. And stress happens with replays and imaginings. You replay things and you build mountains out of molehills. And then you imagine what's, you know, I just know this one's going to say this, or this is going to happen, or the client isn't going to be happy. But when you're in that play mode, when you're in that flow, the present is all you have.
Yep.
And what that does, it resets your mind so that you can be more creative when you go back into the real world, you know?
Yeah. Well, we've definitely come a long way from open concepts, because now we're all literally sitting in our desks at home, and we don't even have contact with people, and this is going to be a new normal for a while. And
that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, how is that affecting the work that you do?
Well, that's why the one-on-one attuned play is so important. That's one part of what we do for corporations. We do the team building and brainstorming, things like that. But in order for a company to have their employees be at their most productive, they have to feel like they are more part of the community. You know, everybody was thrilled when this first happened, because they got to work in their pajamas and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And there's no commute time, but they're feeling much more distant. They have Zoom fatigue. They get lonely, and that really takes its psychological toll. You know, mental illness is becoming a huge thing. We are built as humans for contact, for touch. You know, when was the last time you hugged someone besides your husband? You know, it's I hug my dog all the time. I'm like, I wish you were less fuzzy and more human. You know, so this is as close as we can get to that contact. And Jessica designed this process that works for our B2C side as well as our B2B side, because it's all about the one-to-one connection. And by building that trust and becoming more vulnerable and more authentic, employees feel more empowered and more confident to give their ideas, and they're not afraid of the repercussions of what what other people think. When we're in our adult mind, we're always afraid of being judged, so we never give our all. And when they are stressed and feeling distant, it's going to affect their daily tasks. They're not going to be in the mood for it. So by having at least once a week playing with each other, it's that feeling you get when you go see or watch from home now a really fun movie. Do you remember when you used to go to the movies and see something that was super fun and uplifted? You felt great for like 3 days after, right?
Yeah.
And you would talk about it, and you would try to emulate that feeling or what went on in the movie. That's what we do for you.
It is really amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and you've had sessions, so you feel great after. We give you tools to use for the week. If you start feeling stressed out, be silly by yourself or with other people. Who, if you have other people in your household, that's why we have everything from improv to breathing to word games, and it brings us closer to our clients. And the feedback we have gotten has been fantastic because they are able to go back to whatever project. Like Gary said, you can reset your mind and be more productive, get things done faster and easier.
And I have to say, so I had my sample session yesterday with you guys, so I could sort of see what it is you do. And so I worked with Jessica, and I was I actually kind of thought to myself when I realized I wanted to schedule it before I got to talk to you. And I realized like, oh no, I'm doing this on the day I have this big project that I'm doing. And I had this big meeting set later to like work with this guy. We're going to do we're going to change a website over. It was like kind of one of those things that if we did something too wrong, we lost the website for this whole organization. And I was just stressing out. And I woke up and I also had some other things that were heavy on my mind. And I was just like, oh, I wish I wasn't doing this now because I'm going to be such a Debbie Downer for this session. And I just felt that feeling of like molasses, Atreyu walking with Artax through the swamps of sadness, just like, meh, I had a lot going on. So I get in there for just a few minutes. And I also am very suspicious of people trying to manipulate me emotionally. This is one of the things that I think it happens in some organizations and some churches, different things like that. So I have a lot of guards up for that kind of thing. But
and I'm going to make a point about this when you're done with your story.
Okay, yeah. So I just had some like, I don't know. I'm like, how's coming to help me, put me in a good mood. And then I realized she's just interacting with me. We're just riffing. And the ways that she helped me was not about her having an agenda. It was about her coming in and going, oh, look at you here where you are, where you're at right now. Let's try this right now. And she knew that, I don't know if she's like knew exactly where it was going to go, but I just started to relax. And I felt all these emotions like on the surface instead of underneath for a second. And then I was scared. I'm like, oh, brother, I don't want to get all emotional. And then the next thing I know, we're working through stuff. And then she plays my favorite song. We're playing, we're dancing, we're laughing. And I literally felt like this thing lift. And it wasn't artificial. It wasn't manipulative. It wasn't any of the things that I've always been nervous about these kinds of things because I don't know. I haven't tried. And like laughter yoga, I'm just like, oh, that seems weird. But I'm totally down for it now. I'll totally go to the sessions because I realized like I went into my workday having fun. And it was the weirdest. It wasn't weird. I mean, I should know that. I have playgrounding for a podcast, but I just wanted to sort of give a little testimony here to like what you guys do because it was powerful and it wasn't. Yeah. I'll go on and on.
No, thank you for the reference and I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. But you just made our the whole point of the business because we got you out of your head, and we don't have a specific agenda. We have an idea because you filled out a little form, and at the beginning of every session, we was like, so how was your week? How are you feeling? We tune into you. That's what attuned play is.
Yeah.
We can't have a specific agenda. That makes it about us. And that's not what we do. And, this is not a one-time only thing.
Mm-mm.
As it's regular play. Through regular play, you learn to trust and you learn to feel safe. And you can't play unless you feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
So as Jessica says, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanence.
Yes.
So through regular play, whether it's at work in a large group and learning to trust each other as a team, or doing the one-to-one attuned play thing, you trust each other, you feel safer, and playing on a regular basis, practice makes permanence, because
Yeah.
you learn how to attune yourself to a better mindset.
Yeah. Oh, so, and the thing is, I think that people would probably really enjoy this, and probably end users, because for me, this is an end user situation. This was a one-on-one person, individual.
Right.
But to get a company to really buy into it, they would need some ROI. You want to this is going to make them feel all warm and fuzzy? Great, but we've still got work to do. And why would I give you a half an hour or however much of our week for these people? What are the kinds of things you would say to an HR director or a hiring? Yeah.
First of all, it's working with people and emotions. It's very hard to get an ROI.
Yes.
What you want is VOI. You want the value, right? Value on investment. Because if your people are happier, they're going to perform better. They're going to stay longer. Do you know, if a person leaves, it costs the company 2/3 of a yearly salary to find a new person, to train them, and to get them up to speed. That's expensive.
It really is.
So it behooves them to work with us and anyone else who's in any kind of a space like this, to keep their company culture more combined and I lost the word, but just happier and cohesive. That's the word that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And you want them to have each other's backs. So while we have personal components, if someone's really having issues, if they live alone, we'll work with them one-on-one. But to get a company teamwork, we'll do warm-up energizers, we'll have laughter breaks, we'll consult with managers so that they themselves can go in and work with their teams, because sometimes that's a smarter way to do it.
Yeah.
As someone who was a manager and a VP, you want your managers to look good to the people that they cover. So we'll work with them. We'll say, here are some things you can do, and consult with them that way. We do breakout sessions. We can do weekends. It's all about team building. It's all about cohesiveness and closeness. And I'm using all these C words because, because all that encourages company loyalty. You want to be a family that makes money, and that's, it's heck, wouldn't you?
Yep.
People, I would love, once we really get going with PMP, as I call it, I want to have a whole family of coaches that will stay and are loyal, because we make it so much fun and we value them. That's another big thing. It has to be from the top down, from the CFO, the president, the owner, all the way down to the sales assistants. I think this would be a great thing for support staff for law offices, because they are so stressed.
I read about that.
Yeah. And lawyers aren't going to do anything like this because it's hourly pay. What are you billing? But the support staff could absolutely, use this. And the same thing with the B2C. We don't just have 9 to 5 hours. If support staff doesn't get done until 8:30, we'll do an attunement session with them at 9:30 at night if that's what they need.
Yeah.
If it helps them go to sleep, we're there for them.
Absolutely. And I actually had read that the Bar Association was trying to do interventions to get the lawyers themselves. It was that
Oh yeah,
horrible. And I would have thought that doctors and nurses had it worse, even before COVID.
They do have it worse. Yeah, my brother tells me about it all the time. He runs a hospital system. He runs one of the two big departments in a hospital system. He always corrects me, but he's one of the top few there. But and they are so stressed, and this would be great for them. So we're in talks with them.
Good. Very good. Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, and I just remember, during the recession in 2007-ish, like around that time, working in technology, and I worked at a distributor, a technology distributor, and it was just horrific to see people crying in the bathrooms, and just people, like, I had one friend who, she said she broke 8 teeth total during that time. She broke her teeth.
Wow.
And another job
from grinding,
daytime grinding. I started grinding during the day. I got hives. I got tinnitus, which they told me was stress related because I was hearing no loud noises. In another company that I worked, same thing. People's hair was falling out, like, just you name it, rashes, a lot of rashes.
Right.
And I remember telling my doctor, she said, "You really need to quit this job." And I just said, "Well, then I wouldn't have health insurance and I couldn't come see you anymore." But I kept coming in for things. She's like, "Yep, this looks like stress. This looks like stress." And I just feel like people don't really, I feel like it seems like a necessary evil. That this is just part of life, and this is how corporate culture is, but it doesn't have to be this way.
Right. Exactly. It doesn't have to be. It's the same thing as, like, people think that the more exercise they do, the better. And the people over exercise and their body breaks down, and then they look worse. And then, so there is a balance to it.
Yeah.
And, think about it. Think how much better you felt with 30 minutes of play.
It's so true.
We give you, tools and tips and exercises and things you can do by yourself. And, but that little bit of time changes your whole attitude, and it can make your whole week more productive and make you more joyful and happier. And that's the bottom line. Happiness.
Yeah. It is. And it's one of the things that I kind of took away from the session too. And if I could say one thing to future people who join, who get involved with Playful Mind Project in whatever capacity, is part of me wanted to wall off. Part of me wanted to present and perform whatever it was that I thought needed to be, like, I should be playful. I should blah, blah, blah. But I just didn't have the energy. And so I just decided, okay, I'm just going to let myself be vulnerable here and be honest. And I didn't like rattle on all the things that were going wrong. I was like, I feel not good. I didn't even know how to explain it. And it was just, I feel like when people let themselves be vulnerable and let someone ask them to play, like when you're a little kid on the playground, and somebody asks you to play, it's just this overwhelmingly amazing feeling.
Exactly. We take care of the caretakers, and whether it's moms, women working from home, there are guys who have a lot of pressure. Even CFOs, CEOs are concerned because their businesses are doing so poorly. One of my really good friends owns an experiential marketing and branding company. It's actually one of the top in the world. I'm not going to mention the name, but and she happens to be a woman, but she was so stressed because it's experiential. It's there. You have to be there, and everybody canceled, and she was so stressed. And that's what, and her business is great. She really takes care of her employees, and she was so concerned with them, which is a lovely thing. And she's great with playing with them and knows how to work with that. But this is happening all over the world. So it's more important than ever that the C-level people allow themselves to play, give themselves a break as well, because they will be able to see things in a bigger and better light. When we get stressed, we also get that fight or flight thing. And physiologically, our vision goes from here to here because we're looking at that saber-toothed tiger coming at us,
Yes, we are.
and attacking, and here, kitty, kitty. But it's the same thing mentally. When we get stressed, we can't see all the possibilities.
Mm-mm.
All we see is this. But when you stop and play, you relax, and that vision widens, and it's much easier to figure out things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if someone were to, even just hearing this, and they have like a really stressful day ahead, or, just something's going to happen where they know that the next time they feel this way, like what are some things you would advise people, just if you wouldn't get mind giving us a little sample of some of the stuff that you advise?
Okay. So I actually wrote down something. All right. So if you're by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
give yourself, and you're not working with us, which would be the ultimate way.
Of course.
Give yourself 30 minutes. Get out of the compound. Leave your desk, whatever. Go take a walk outside, and allow yourself to wander and wonder.
Like
Give
the song.
yourself that childlike view of the world. How do birds fly? How do they choose where to land, or how do they know what flock to, things like that? Just allow yourself to, why is this red? How come these flowers grow like this? How did they, just ask how or why.
I love it.
And just, how did this building get built? Why did they choose to make it this? Question everything.
I love it.
Because we live life by rote.
Mm-hmm.
We don't notice anything. We're on our phones, our heads are down, so don't take your phone either. That's a hard one.
Yeah,
Just
it is.
be with you. So that's one. And when you're out there, if you sit and have a cup of coffee, or walk outside during lunchtime, whatever, and people watch and make up stories about them. Especially if you like going to Walmart or to Costco or to Trader Joe's, look at somebody who's a little different. Celebrate that they're willing to be different, because I always think that's awesome. I'm like, you girl, if you want to wear those brown shoes and that purple hat and that, shiny mini skirt, yippee for you. And then I make up a story about them in my head. It's like, and just watch why is she holding a flamingo? Well, this is, her backstory, and, things like that, where they go to school, or what, just, ask questions and wonder. And when you make up stories, it's just fun, and just, go wild. Well, she's actually an alien. And she's come here to, whatever it is, do the best you can not to have normal answers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that allows your imagination to get bigger and bigger. I have hey. When I do my keynote speeches on stress and creativity, I have a play circle. Oh. So I write these words in a circle because they're all related. Play equals joy, equals being present, equals innovation, equals happiness, equals creativity, equals innovation. Mm-hmm. The more you allow yourself to play, the more creative you become, the more you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and take risks. Yeah. And that leads to innovation. So one thing, they just build on each other. So let me give you another one. I want you to close your eyes. Okay. I want you to think about your life overall. How does that make you feel? Just thinking about life. Are you enjoying it? What things about, good. Awesome.
More than I had in the past.
Good. So if there's an element of your life where you don't feel happy. Yes. Think about it and try to pinpoint it. You can open your eyes. But it's, people tend to gloss over what doesn't make them happy because they don't want to feel those feelings, just like you were doing the other day. When you allow them to come to the surface, those feelings take their course. Yeah. You feel them, and then they go away.
Mm-hmm. I was afraid of just cry. Like 10 minutes into this session, I just felt all this emotion come up and I had suddenly had tears. I'm like, oh no, I've ruined it.
Yeah.
I know all this stuff I've been through, but when it's me and I'm not talking about it from up here, that's how I fought.
Right. And we all do this because we all judge ourselves. And that's exactly what this is. I can't let people know that I'm upset. I'm paying her for a half an hour. I can't let her be upset. I'm wasting time. No, you're not. And especially if you're by yourself, let those feelings come to the surface, and then take those feelings and flip them. What can I learn about this? How can I make this better? How can I change my perspective to be happier? Happy people always do better in the workplace because they can be more present. There's actually something called presenteeism at work. It's people who show up but who aren't really there.
Oh yeah.
Whether we're stressed or we're sick. By the way, if you're sick take the day off.
Right.
Don't think you are doing the company a favor, because you're not going to get work done and you're not going to do good work. But
so true.
But presenteeism is a thing. So if you want to truly be present, get all those things that have been bothering you to the surface. If you had a fight with your boyfriend or your mom or whatever, and you're upset about it, allow yourself to think about it and figure it out. Everything. Marie Forleo is a business school, and she says everything is figure outable. And it is, if you allow yourself to feel those feels and play with them.
Yeah. Instead of try to cover them up.
Right. Because you can't play when you're cranky, feeling sorry for yourself, or stressed out. Yep. Try playing when you're cranky. It doesn't work.
No, it does not.
Here's a tip. If you're feeling cranky, talk in a silly voice. It's impossible to stay cranky. I can't believe how upset I am.
I'm so mad right now.
Right. And, you can lower your voice and whatever makes you laugh, and you can deal with it better. These are just little things, right? Yeah. I am my own best audience. I make myself laugh all the time.
Yep. And the whole, you're not and like you said, bringing it all back full circle to your first story. We're not saving lives. This isn't brain surgery. The world's not going to end.
Bingo.
Because this. And if the world does end because of one tiny little thing, that might not be your fault. That might be your boss's, but I'm not going to get into that. But
he may say it's your fault, or she.
Yeah.
I mean, it's poop happens.
Poop happens, yes.
And there's, sometimes.
And shift does too.
Well, that was my next thing. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
And that's okay. You blew my.
I beat you to the punch.
That's right. When I'm going to say when poop happens, you can shift it and make shift happen when you play. Yes.
I'm loving that.
Yes, and that's shift does happen when shit happens.
Yep, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. It absolutely should. And you guys, I love that that's part of because it's playful. The Playful Mind Project is playful, and shift happens, and here's how to get the shift to happen. And I love, so there are two aspects to it we've kind of touched on, and we're in our larger conversation with you and Jessica, we'll get more into it, but there's a personal component and a team building and company-wide well-being component.
Absolutely.
Does the company, so if you're just an individual worker that your company is not really engaging with this, you can go ahead and just get into the personal component.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's impossible to attune to a group, because everyone is at a different level emotionally and all that. But what working with a team does, to our purposeful play and our brainstorming and all that, is allows us to see, kind of who's really into it and who's not, and who may need a little bit of extra TLC. And that's where we may hone in to suggest some attuned play to pull them back in.
That's great. Yeah. Wow. So I know you just recently had your launch, and it's really, really exciting. So I would definitely encourage anyone to Yeah, it really made me think this morning when I woke up. This is the day after. It made me think about like the things that were on my plate and how I looked at them. And, you know, I like right before we got on, I had some things that were going wrong. But it was weird. The second I saw your face, I was like, wait, we're here to have fun. This is what she does.
That's what this smile is. That's what these 97 teeth do.
Well, this has been so much fun. Is there anything that you feel like maybe we have left out? Anything you want to close with, or any
I
thoughts?
think if people are just, learning about this and thinking about this, go on our website, www.playfulmind.com. Project. What is it? Playfulmindproject.com. And we have a 5-day free play challenge that every day you get a little, way to change your thought process. And we challenge you to do things. And we really want people to actually do them.
I haven't done that yet.
And that's the secret to really teaching yourself to facilitate change in how you think. Because how many times have you, watched a video like, oh, that's a great idea, and then you kind of walk away and you never think about it again? Yep. The body needs to do it in order to remember. The more senses you get involved with making a change, the quicker that change is going to come. So I would say, just do the 5-day challenge. It's free. It's my favorite 4-letter word, free.
Right.
So, give that a shot. Go through the website. We have PDFs you can download. And if you work for a company, be our hero. Go into the HR department and say, maybe we need to talk to these people because they can offer things that are EAP, which is Employee Assistance Program, which EAPs are awesome. They help with the, with true counseling and a bunch of other things that help your life be a little bit easier. We offer things that your insurance and your EAP doesn't offer.
Wow.
So, yeah. Because they don't know what play is, because, like I said, it's not an industry. That's our job, to make play an industry, and this is how we're going to do it. And if anyone has any questions or comments, you can just email me at rona@playfulmindproject.com.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. And I remember the close of our discussion that first day at coffee, as I was walking in my car, we turned around and said goodbye, and you're just like, so you said something about let's make play an industry. And I just laughed so hard. I'm like, I'm so energized right now. That's what I'm going to do when I get home.
That's
so
right.
It's so fun to have I feel like I have an amazing community now of people working together to make this happen. And if anyone is listening to this podcast and you are part of this now too, let's do it.
We are all going to make play an industry. So
yep, unavoidable. It's an industry and it's inside of us. But
Rona says, make play an industry. That's actually my handle on Instagram, @Rona says.
I love it. Okay. I'll have to. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Oh, I had so much fun.
Thank you so much for listening. Have an amazing holiday season and new year. Be sure to join us on this Sunday, December 20th at the Celebrating Spirituality, How Beliefs Affect Our Reality workshop. You can sign up at the Global Play Brigade's website under free offerings or see the Playgrounding show notes at playgrounding.com/63. See you next year.